and welcome to this week's episode of A Closer Look. In this episode, we feature the 8th Pacific Tuna Forum hosted by the National Fisheries Authority and their preparations leading up to the forum. The National Fisheries Authority, in preparation for the 8th Pacific Tuna Forum, hosted a 3-day media workshop with journalists across the country in Kokopo, where reporters and those that attended the event were taken through the technical operations of things when it comes to tuna processing in the region and the role PNG plays as a member of the European Union.
For the first time this year, the National Fisheries Authority brought together journalists from around the country to Kokopo, East New Britain Province for a 3-day media workshop. The media workshop, hosted by the National Fisheries Authority, saw its partners as invigilators from FFA, InfoFish, touched based on several fishing areas and the work of the FFA, InfoFish and NFA when it comes to tuna catching in the Pacific. Some of the areas discussed were economic impacts and returns, imports and exports, types of fishing vessels, and how tuna is contributing to the Pacific.
Fish or seafood from catching to exporting or sale will and may involve multiple state players. That's point number 2 I want you to understand. Either we talked about this yesterday, okay? A PNG vessel catch the fish, tranship in a different port, and then taken to another country, they process it, they become the processing state, and then they export it. So fish from PNG could go through a lot of different countries, different states, different players, different processing plants, and before it reaches its destination. Okay? An example that I have there, caught by PNG flag vessel, tranship in Tarawa, okay, straight to China. If it's unloaded in China, processed, and then exported to EU. Okay? That is just a hypothetical scenario, but that's the reality of the fishing industry. A couple of years ago, there were flakes. Okay, when they do loin, they remove the red meat and the bloodline. Okay, so some of those flakes were bought by a company in Fiji so that they can do their tuna flakes. See, so there are multiples. Now, companies handle certified and non-certified seafood, and different species can be indistinguishable in the final product. Now remember this, in a company, unless it is MSC certified, other than that, they are allowed to receive fish and store fish as long as it is legal. Okay? Which means they can get fish from a Taiwan flag vessel if the Taiwan flag vessel comes to PNG legally and operate legally. I'm not saying that it's happening, but that's what they're allowed to do, legal. Okay? If I am owner of a company and EU is my main market, I can also receive fish that are not eligible to go to EU in terms of safety, okay? But as long as it is legally handled, legally caught. I cannot be party to a crime. If I know that it's illegal, then I should handle it, okay?
Also from InfoFish, experts say that exports and imports and how fishing in the Pacific waters by international investors contribute to building the country's economy.
In Europe, for fishing vessels to make money, they have to pay minimum of 60 euros per litre, something around that range. But now it has gone to, 60. Now it's gone to one euro. Last time it was, what is the denomination of coins in Europe? It has gone up by 30%. So now vessels are all harbored. They cannot operate because they find it expensive to go out to sea. So you can see the consequences of the war to the fishing industry. Number 2, Russia is not being able to buy and sell any products. Why? Because their bank account has been frozen by international community. There's no more SWIFT transaction. So big producers of fishing products, exporters, are unable to buy and sell products from Russia into other countries.
Also, a former journalist spoke about the impacts, the challenges, and how we as journalists can write stories of tuna and what to be aware of when it comes to talking about tuna in the Pacific. Journalists were given exercises as well as group activities where they carried out as teams, with each doing presentations of their findings and topics discussed which were relating to tuna catching in the Pacific waters.
Our story and goals: 1. Impact of tuna exports or stocks in PNG as a result of globalization and climate change.
President for the PNG Media Council, Neville Choi, also did a presentation on media ethics to the journalist.
The different forms of fishing of tuna, all of these things you can use in your stories, and they all can be used over multiple times, right? In the lead-up stories between now and next week, before the start of the forum, and even after the forum closes and the forum ends. There's so much here that you can use and that you can utilize as either background information or as leads to other stories that don't cover tuna specifically or fisheries specifically. Okay, so can we just, a list of stories that you think should be covered. If there's a question that you have, list a story that will answer that question.
The media workshop, organized to help journalists prepare for the 8th Pacific Tuna Forum, highlighted many things on the preservation of tuna and the processes involved. This led the team to also go up to the lookout to get a close and personal look of the volcano and the million kina view one can only wish to wake up to every day. The media team then went on an excursion to the NFA building in Rabaul, where they were shown by their experts that explained on one of the latest electronics known as the Fisheries Information Monitoring System.
The person keying the data made a mistake, So then we have administrative process through digital space. How are you going to change it? Because the integrity of the data must be protected at all cost.
Shortly after the briefing, the team were then taken to see the Rabaul volcano, which is a large volcano on the tip of Gazelle Peninsula in East New Britain. After a great time out, the reporters were taken back, where they attended the closing ceremony and presentations of the certificate to end the 3-day media workshop. This brought the media workshop in Kokopo, East New Britain, to a close.
After the break, we highlight the participating Pacific Island countries' fisheries ministers' visit to East New Britain.